My personal belief, even to this day, is if you're talking about something that you genuinely find interesting,
Something that's a little controversial.
that's something that's more frowned upon in medicine,
Negativity fuels engagement. People who are social media influencers.
tacky, or like sharing the inside scoop on medicine. I've been experimenting with different styles. You got your whatever direction you want to take this creatively, I'm here for it. I'm just gonna have a good time.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, so welcome to Casual Conversations. I'm your host, Lawrence, and I have here.
Pratik Van Gaal.
Nice to meet you, Pratik. You know, I actually, when I found out that you had a YouTube channel and you
Yeah.
did content on the side, I thought that you would be like a phenomenal person to have on this platform.
Absolutely, dude. I'm excited to be here. My name is Pratik Van Gaal. I'm a YouTuber. I'm also a med school student with Lawrence at Albany Med. We met each other somewhat through content production, I'd say.
Yeah.
I saw Lawrence in the back of our class recording one of our lectures, and that was super sick to see. How'd you find my YouTube channel?
So I think during that session, somebody said that they did YouTube. I didn't know who it was at the beginning, right? And so I just looked through, I think either the group me or just figured out something through social media. And I was like, okay, this is probably someone who does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was cool, especially it takes a lot of time to devote to it. And I won't not deny that when I do see someone who's doing something great, I'm always there to support them. I'm never going to, like I always say, I'm never going to be hating on them. And I think it's something that is pretty amazing too.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we can get into it. All right. So a part of what I like to do is just be able to gather people who I feel like are really doing something amazing or interesting at the same time, and being able to understand who they are as a person and what brought them to where they are currently. And so, Pratik, you're in medical school. You have a very successful YouTube channel and something that's going to grow pretty wide, I believe. And so, first, take me through what inspired you to start making videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, my YouTube journey, my career, it started out of my bedroom. I remember literally being in senior year of high school. I was watching a lot of YouTubers at the time. I think the whole like gym, self improvement, that sort of niche was all really taking off,
Mhm.
and that was it was pretty motivational to see, right? Especially as like a younger guy during COVID and whatnot. Everyone's like on their gym arc. They're all getting into
Yeah.
it. And so as soon as my senior year wrapped up, college admissions all wrapped up, I was like, okay, let me give this a shot, right? And so when I first started, I mean, I was making videos on anything. I had no clue that my YouTube channel, which if any of you guys watching this don't know, I make college admissions content, I make study content, primarily geared towards people who are applying to college and also those who are in college just trying to figure out their career path.
Right.
At the start, I had no clue I was going to go down that path, right? I was making gym videos, I was making like fashion videos, anything that was just coming into my mind. And as I was doing that, one of the videos I made was like a guide to how I got into college. And that was the first video that, slowly over time, it started to get a little bit of traction. So I said,
Right.
okay, let me try one more. And then that started to do well. And then I had a couple friends in high school who said, hey, teach me about how to write college essays. How do I get involved in other things?
Mhm.
And over time, that just kind of compounded into what I built during college, which was my YouTube channel.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually well said. Just being inspired and taking the initiative. Because what I was talking about before we started rolling was that for me, I felt like I didn't have a life that was worth documenting, or it was interesting enough that I could pick up the camera and do it. But for you, you just started just in your bedroom trying to figure out what stuck and what was already a part of your life. And I thought that was pretty dope. So I'm actually glad that you were able to continue to do it, and it's gotten you pretty far.
Yeah. So what you said was a super interesting point, right? You felt like your life wasn't interesting enough.
Right.
And so I remember when I first started doing YouTube, I tried to convince some of my friends to do it too.
Mhm.
And you get that kind of take a lot, right? Either I feel like it's not interesting enough, or I don't know what I'd make videos on. Look, at the end of the day, I think the best piece of advice I ever got when I started was to just do what you enjoy within
Right.
the content creation space. Right. For me, the idea of being a YouTuber has always been like a super exciting thing. I haven't really told anyone this, but like when I was younger, like I'm talking like 9, 10 years old,
Mhm.
I had a little like Minecraft YouTube channel, and I was really working on it. Right. I had my 12 subscribers. I probably made like 50, 60 videos with my friend just playing like Minecraft Pocket Edition.
Mhm.
But that idea of my point being of being like a YouTuber and kind of doing that was always an exciting thing to me.
Mhm.
So when I first started doing YouTube, it was never about like, how many views do you get, or even like being super consistent or anything. It was more so just recording videos on things that were interesting for me to talk about.
Mhm.
And if my personal belief, even to this day, is if you're talking about something that you genuinely find interesting
Right.
and you're passionate about it, you care about it, someone else out there on the internet, the beauty of it is they will find it interesting too.
Mhm.
And then over time, the algorithm will do its magic and you'll find your audience.
Perfect. Yeah, I feel like just hearing you speak, you're very passionate about what you do,
Thank you.
and so yeah, it even resonate. And even after this, I think I'm gonna actually start picking up my camera a little bit more often, especially like within medical school. We have the sense that this is what we're here to do, and we're just supposed to focus, and everything else is supposed to fall on the wayside, right? But seeing someone like you who's able to sort of continue to do it and maintain it while doing well academically, I think that's something that goes to show medical school is a part of your life, but you can also have opportunities to do other things at the same time. And so, with that being said, have you found yourself finding difficulties to maintain your YouTube channel? And if so, how have you like remedied that?
Think it's a great question. I mean, I think this is a challenge that everyone who's starting medical school is going to run to, right? At the end of the day, medical school is incredibly rigorous. If we have to put like a spectrum of how hard different college majors were or like graduate degrees were,
Mhm.
med school is up there. I don't think anyone's denying that.
Right.
And so, especially when we first started med school, those first like 3 months, those are like notoriously difficult for the amount of rigor, classwork. I don't think it's particularly feasible to really be doing anything that seriously. You're lucky if
Right.
you're going to the gym consistently. But following that, you do have time. And really, the question is, well, what do you care about? What do
Right.
you really value? For me, I really do care about YouTube. I care about helping my audience. I care about helping people out there and making what when I was in high school was only barred to the people who were exclusively had the money
Mhm.
or the resources or just the connections. I want to make all of that knowledge free for people.
Right.
That's something that's really important to me. Even as I pursue my career in medicine, this is something that I've been building for 4 years.
Mhm.
I'm not, ready to just kind of give it up just to go all in on just exclusively medicine, right? All these
Mhm.
things are part of becoming who I want to be, my identity as a doctor, that sort of thing.
Right.
And so it's all about just you finding the time. Like you have to do it. And there are absolutely days where it feels like a gruel. It feels
Mhm.
super long. I mean, even like last night, I was up till 1, 2 a.m. just working on content, getting everything out there. But when I wake up the next day in the morning, I'm excited that I have the ball rolling. I have the momentum, that things are all they're falling into place.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's super exciting. That keeps me going.
Perfect. Yeah, I can also agree. There are times that I'll be up till 1, 2, 4. That's just me being non productive. But it does take a lot of time, especially when you want something to be put out there that you can actually stand by and you're
Mm.
proud to present. And so I can understand the time commitment it'll take. And so sometimes within medical school, a deterrent is that people feel as though, how do you have so much time? And sometimes people feel as though if they're not spending more time studying, they're kind of wasting their time or they're not doing medical school right. And so have you ever felt the peer pressure to, you know, fall into the idea that, you know what, my peers are right. This isn't something that I should be spending my time on. Or have you thought to yourself, you know what, I'm already in med school. I'm doing pretty well. I feel like I can definitely balance between the two of these and any negative thoughts that my peers might have. It's okay for them to have that, but I'm just going to keep moving forward.
I think that's a super interesting point, right?
Yeah.
One of the I think underrated aspects of medical school that people don't necessarily talk about is the pacing of it all, right?
Mhm.
It's incredibly fast paced. And what the result is that unlike when you're on, summer break, you get 3 months to just relax. In medical school, you don't have as much time to reflect and think about the experiences that you're going through.
Right.
And so if, for example, kind of like your question was saying, if you're working on like a hobby that's maybe not directly related to medical school, there's a really big pull to kind of suck you into the sense of like if you see a bunch of people around you who are doing research, who are grinding their studying like 10 hours a day, you feel the need to, okay, I need to do that too, right? If
Mhm.
I'm not doing those things, I'm falling behind.
Mhm.
And so you kind of enter the pipeline. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think if anything, for a lot of people, that's a great thing, right? Being in medical school, being around that environment, it pushes them to excel.
Mhm.
But sometimes if you have other hobbies or interests outside of medical school, it can get a little bit tricky, right?
Right.
How do you balance the two? How do you not feel that FOMO that everyone's feeling? And so for me, sometimes what that means is just taking a step back and
Mhm.
looking at exactly bigger picture. What do I want out of life, right? What is my end goal? What's my end game? Even taking just a couple of hours to just plan it out and give myself a clear goal in exactly what I want to achieve, what is making me feel happy, listening to like that emotional feedback, that helps me stay grounded both academically, knowing that I'm doing enough, but also being able to keep my hobbies up. And so that
Right.
way I'm not getting like overly consumed by something like research, which I enjoy doing, but understanding that you can always do more. You should
Right.
you should make the time to work on something like YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna throw in a little something that's a little controversial, but I don't think it's too controversial. But online, we do see medical influencers who are doing pretty well successfully,
Yeah.
being able to pay off their student loans faster than their peers, right? And so, do you feel like, or you don't have the answers, do you sometimes feel that as you're becoming more successful, your peers might become envious and sort of feel as though you shouldn't be achieving what you're achieving?
You feel that in like a building an audience and having like being like a famous in a sense or like
Yeah.
in a financial sense?
Um, in more of a financial sense, because we all understand that if you're a successful medical influencer, you're doing pretty well off. You're going to be able to pay off your student loan debt faster than your peers, or be able to live a life that they can't live until a couple years until they're attending salaries. And so, do you ever feel that there might be some envy built up? Maybe you're seeing a little bit more success, and people who were probably there for you, they're not there anymore.
I think it's natural,
Hmm.
right? I wouldn't be astonished, but at the same time, as a student, I'm not going to go around telling people like, "Hey, I just made X amount of money off of YouTube this
Yeah.
month," and kind of stir up those feelings. If anyone feels that way, I mean, I think the absolute best thing that they can do is like, for example, just come talk to me,
Right.
right? If you feel like a little envious, or in the sense of turning that envy emotion into like, "Hey, I want to earn that money too,"
Right.
right? I want to be able to exit medical school without having $300,000 in debt. Like, let's have a conversation, right? Do you
Mhm.
want to get into content creation? Do you have a business idea that I can help you work on? I am always happy to kind of work with people on that.
All right. Yeah. I think that's actually perfectly said because sometimes I do feel that collaboration will get you a lot further. You know what they say? If you want to move fast, you go alone, but if you want to move far, move with others. And I feel like since coming to med school, finding people who have the same mindset of I want to be a successful physician and I also want to be a successful content creator or just being able to produce things that can help people in the long run. And so being able to find people like that, I think it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So I think another thing that we could talk about was that I mentioned different aspects of medicine and whether coming in as medical students do we know the full truth about it, right? And so part of that couple of topics that we had was um, how medicine affects relationships, personal relationships, whether with your friends, families, or significant other. And then also, do some physicians try to stretch the truth in the sense that a video that I saw was that they'll talk about the negative aspects of medicine, and majority of the entire video is talking about the negative aspects, but then at the very end, they'll say that they wouldn't give it up for anything else, and because of their patients. And sometimes it feels like that might be a little disingenuous, but we can touch upon that in different ways. So, where would you like to go first, based on what we've talked about previously?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that, right?
Yeah.
There are absolutely hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on YouTube of physicians talking about their experience with medical school, being a physician, being a surgeon, anyone who's working like an incredible shift, a ton of time into it, and how that affects their everyday life. A lot of times, some people might talk about like the financial, whether they feel like they're being compensated fairly, how they're
Mhm.
dealing with like student loan. And then other times, people are talking about relationships, right? The strain it puts. I don't think that that's a crazy take.
Right.
What I will say is that if you're someone aspiring to go into a career in medicine, um, I'm a huge data guy. Okay. I like to look at the data. I like to look at the stories, the information that's out there. If you're watching video after video of people consistently talking about how they have these massive student loans that they're struggling to pay off because they went into for example, a specialty in medicine that's not as well compensated, or if they have all these massive like issues with personal relationships and they're struggling to find time to have their kids, all of these things are data points, right?
Mhm.
And so you take those and you don't jump on them and immediately mimic the same opinions. But
Right.
what you do is you keep them in your mind and you have conversations with actual physicians in real life. At the end of the day, understand that social media is curated. It's
Mhm.
edited. People are putting out the version of themselves that they want that people to see. They're putting out the
Right.
version of themselves that they want people to see. And so, because of that, the best advice that you're going to get is from people in real life. Talk
Mhm.
to doctors, right? You go into get your annual checkup. You go to your pediatrician or even your dentist. Ask them about their experience.
Right.
They're going to know best, and they're going to be honest with you as well. It's a lot more common that people are going to come online and talk about their positive experiences because those tend to, do pretty well. They have a good meaning. They protect your brand image. It's a
Right.
lot rare that someone who's a successful doctor is going to come on YouTube and then give this, hot take I hate my job, right? It's going to be a lot rarer.
Right.
But if you talk to someone in person off the books,
Mhm.
hear their true story, you might get a much more real and honest take. And that could really guide your decision into what it is that you value. And it's
Mhm.
completely okay to value either side of it. If you want to
Right.
value your personal relationships, or you come from a background where you don't have as much financial support, and so medicine is kind of from a financial standpoint out of the picture for you, that's fine too. But make sure you understand it before you jump into the career. That's the most important part.
Yeah. Yeah. And like how you well said, being able to talk to the physicians who are actually experiencing it is really important. I think being as authentic as possible it can get you a lot further. And sometimes people stray away from doing that because they want to protect their personal brand. I think also being able to be a face, or being able to put yourself in a position where people can actually come to you for information, similar to what you do with higher education, and just giving them the truth and the real about it, and just weighing their options, saying, okay, if this is what you want to into, these are possible um, things that might happen to you later on down the line. And I think a part of it is that it shouldn't be a something that will stray you away, but something that you should be prepared for and trying to know how to circumvent it if possible. And so something that I was thinking about was that relationships in medicine and how difficult it can be to maintain or sustain those. And I think sometimes it comes across as pretty selfish, because the idea is that as physicians or future physicians, our career is going to take up a lot of time, and it's going to be something that um, our significant other has to sort of take the burden of, right? And I feel like, as truthful as that might be, it sort of seems unfair. And
Mm.
you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think as the healthcare professional, as the physician or the nurse or whatever, if you know that you're going to go into a career that's going to take up so much time, is it the best idea to get into a relationship with someone who you know who's going to have to take up majority of either um, ch- taking care of the child or raising the home and stuff like that? Is it unfair to put that on them, or sometimes is it unfair to come to this agreement at the beginning and think that somebody's not going to change their mind later on? So tell me if I'm wrong about this.
I mean, personally, I think it's all about communication, right?
Right.
And ultimately understanding that even no matter how much you communicate that you're going to be busy, it's a lot different to have that lived experience, especially
Right.
over a longer period of time. I think that it is true that the divorce rate among like doctors and whatnot is higher, and especially as you go more and more specialized, it does get pretty crazy at times.
Hmm.
But also there are plenty of doctors who have healthy relationships,
Yeah.
right? I think what we need is more of those physicians to come out and talk about their experience, right? What are they doing?
Sometimes people try to keep the secret when it comes to relationships, especially online. The thing online is that negativity fuels engagement, and typically people who talk about negative aspects of relationships, they get the most attention, and sort of that curates their
It's a good point.
algorithm. But yeah, continue what you're saying. It's better to have physicians who are having successful relationships come out more and talk about it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. What are they particularly doing to balance both,
Hmm.
right? Like especially if you're raising like multiple kids, and like you're a surgeon, you know that there are days where you're not going to be able to make your son's like little league game or your daughter's like dance practice, right?
Hmm.
Um, how exactly are you communicating that in the long run with your family? How are you going to manage that? And as a student, right? What's equally as important is someone who's figuring out what exactly field they want to go into. Um, is it going to be like normal moving forward for people to look at certain specialties where you don't get to have that, and you say, hey, well, I want to have a family? Is that fair to kind of publicly say, I don't want to go into this field because I want to have more of a family life, or something that's more frowned upon in medicine because you're
Hmm.
supposed to be more academically oriented, and the culture is, hey, sacrifice everything because the patient experience is the most important thing, and you want to
Hmm.
be able to help as many people as possible.
Yeah, yeah, you actually said it very well. So we kind of we agree pretty much. And I think it's always on an individual perspective. As you said, communication is very important, and just if you know that your career is going to be this straining, you got to always be there for your partner,
Mhm.
regardless, and just letting them know. And I think also how I mentioned before, things do change. Sometimes people will agree and say, you know what, I understand that you're a physician. This is going to take about a lot of time, and I'm definitely going to be there for you. And sometimes people will agree to that, and then over time they'll feel a lot lonelier. And so, how do you maneuver that space? I think that's something that you have to be able to adapt to. Since we're physicians, we got to adapt a lot, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm 22.
Yeah.
Probably not the best person
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to be giving my advice on this, but
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, something that I wanted to talk about was the impact of social media on your career. And we talked about how your peers could see it, right? And I feel like what I've heard from physicians who are doing really well on social media is that there's sort of a hyperfixation on people who are social media influencers, medical influencers, because the idea is that if something goes wrong, they're going to really focus on you because how do you have so much time, like we talked about? How are you doing so well on this? That means that you're not spending as much time on your job versus on social media. So, what's your thought about how medical influencers, people tend to focus on them a lot harder and scrutinize them a lot more compared to their peers?
Yeah, I think I mean, a big part of it is because of how public everything is,
Hmm.
right? All you have to do is look up my name on the internet and you will see hundreds of videos that I've made from back when I was sitting in my high school, room at my parents' house, to right now where I'm sitting in my med school library, like recording vlogs for people.
Hmm.
Um, because there's such a range of things out there, it's very easy to go through something with like a fine-tooth comb
Right.
and come at it. I have heard stories on both sides of the spectrum. On one side, I've had friends who have started YouTube channels that actually grown them to like a couple thousand subscribers and then completely gone private on everything once they started medical school because they
Mhm.
talked to attendings who felt that they weren't super, envious of students who were going down this med school influencer path. They didn't really like it. They thought it was tacky or like sharing the inside scoop on medicine that people shouldn't be publicizing.
Mhm.
But on the other side, specifically if you get into fields like dermatology or plastic surgery, where it's a lot more normalized to be on that side, having social media presence
Mhm.
is a big deal, right? People like that you're coming in, not just with a little bit of clout, but more so with an understanding of everything else that goes on,
Right.
right? Marketing, understanding that social media is the future of how you're going to be connecting with people. If you want to ever go into private practice and start a business, I think a lot of people in medicine, they like the idea of starting it,
Mhm.
but they're so busy and caught up with medical school that they've never started a business.
Mhm.
They have no exposure to marketing, and they have also not given thoughts on where you're going to get your clients from. Right? It's not like if you start like an aesthetic, plastic surgery clinic, for instance, that out of nowhere you're going to have hundreds of clients lining up to get your procedures done.
Right.
You have to compete with people who have been in industry for 50 years,
Mhm.
and in order to do that, the best thing that you can do as a young person is to get with the times, the new technology, and that's social media.
Right.
And so, even one of the things that I personally believe in is that even if you don't want to become a full scale influencer, that's not something you're interested in. Plenty of people feel that they don't want to be a YouTuber. That's totally fine.
Mhm.
But understanding how social media works, understanding the value of it, what it could do for your career, that's something that I wouldn't just turn a blind eye to or, just plug your ears whenever someone talks about it because there is absolutely real value in it that will translate into your medical career.
Right. And I think how you mentioned where your future patients are, a lot of people are on social media. You know, the thing about Dr. Google, a lot of people, whenever they feel sick or something, they go to social media and try to figure out what's going on with them before seeking their physician. And I think being online is very important because since a lot of your patients, future patients, are going to be online, trying to be able to combat misinformation with actual accurate factual information is really important as a future physician on social media. And I think just being able to it eventually you're going to develop an audience. Eventually people are going to gravitate towards you because of what you're doing online. And I think there shouldn't be a negative point of view or hyper fixating on people just because they're doing it. And I think it kind of puts a strain more on physicians because if you want someone who I think it's beneficial to have someone who enjoys life and comes to work and enjoys what they're doing at the same time. And I think being able to do both is beneficial to a physician.
Yeah, I mean, people absolutely need to have hobbies,
Yeah.
right? And social media is great in the sense that it gives you an outlet to, even if you don't want to talk about just, medical related things as a physician, which most people end up doing.
Hmm.
If you have other interests, like there are plenty of med school creators who more so just vlog their entire life for fun,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure if anybody's in med school and they've seen like med school boys and whatnot, just like literally recording videos of them just like playing ping pong or just like having a good time after they finish their step board exams,
Hmm.
right? They're all just vibing. They're building a little community. They're connecting doctors with other doctors just over different hobbies. It's good for people on the whole. It's like
Hmm.
it's almost like a public service, a community service, and that's a great thing to do as well.
Yeah. I think it's important to realize physicians, medical students, we're all normal people. There are things that we like to do and things that we don't like to do. And just being able to experience those at the same time as we're building our career is very important. So that makes me think you're doing pretty well and sort of you're early on in your career. How do you feel like you're going to be able to scale what you do for the future?
Yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about a lot as well.
Hmm.
I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet. I wanna really
Yeah,
keep this going.
of course.
I think I have a lot of great momentum, and especially as you go into higher education as well, you meet a lot of great people. Like
Hmm.
I personally I love our med school class. They have been not just supportive, but they've given me ideas. People want to be active in like the vlogs and kind of keep things entertaining. They encourage
Hmm.
me. I love that, like being around people like that. And so my next steps from here is I think that there's still tons of people out there who want to learn more, not just about like college admissions or even study improvement, but they want to get more exposure to different career fields. I
Hmm.
think right now, as young people, there's a ton of push and pull to go into different career fields. And some of them are maybe because of the salaries, maybe because of the work they do, are more like viral than others.
Hmm.
I want to try to provide one platform where I potentially moving forward do more interviews with people in different career fields.
Hmm.
It's very easy for me to find people who are in the medical field. I've talked a lot about the medical field, but also other fields too,
Yeah.
right? People want to go into tech, they want to go into finance, they want to go into law, the humanities, they want to go into more artistic careers, right? Like music or film.
Mhm.
I want to be able to connect with people who are excelling and young in all of those fields and then put that publicly on my YouTube channel so that
Mhm.
anyone, regardless of what career path they wanted to go into, what their personal beliefs are, what direction they want to do, they have a place where they can just get an honest, unfiltered take on it.
Mhm.
And that can hopefully push their perspective towards whether or not they like the field.
Yeah, that's actually perfectly said. I think also similar to what I do here is just being able to bring people from different professions and just being able to talk about what they do. Similar to me being in medicine, there's a creative aspect that I also like, and so being able to bring creatives from around where we live, that's something that I definitely want to be able to bring in. And so professionals who are also creative is something that you'll be able to find in the space that I do. But definitely exactly what you're saying, being able to kind of get the information from the people who are in those career paths, the diverse career paths that are outside of medicine, so that people can learn from it. I think that is a really great way to scale, and I could see it being very successful. So yeah, so I'm glad to see things early on, and I'm looking forward to seeing how things scale up in the future.
It's
It's pretty
exciting.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. First, I like the idea of knowing where you come from and then eventually being so successful and you could be able to remember it and see the videos and of how things started. I think it's a really amazing experience. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do. Um, but also what I wanted to talk about is a part of the creative aspects of being in medicine. I noticed that you have a sense of style that stands out from a lot of other medical students. And I just want to show appreciation to that because typically yeah. Typically in medical school, people dress for as if they're just gonna stay in a library and no one's gonna see them. And so just to being able to see someone who, puts a lot of effort into with the way that they present themselves, I think that's pretty nice.
Thank
So
you. I mean, to be honest, dude, I think a lot of people in med school, it's just like you're saying, right? They just show up to the library, they're wearing like a hoodie, or they're even just wearing like their scrubs.
right.
Um, I want to credit a little bit of my style to my dad because
Mm,
he worked from home for quite a while. But his philosophy was always like, hey, if I dress up nice, I put on my shirt and trousers in the morning, and just show up, I feel more motivated to do my work. I feel like I'm at work.
mhm,
It's a great way to start your day.
right.
And so I ended up kind of embodying that element. And so even if I'm in the library, I still love to just get fitted up and show up because I feel like I'm putting my all into it in
Yeah.
in all regards. I'm not just getting lazy with it just because no one's gonna be there, no one's gonna care.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes I'll throw in a fit. And I'm like, no one's even gonna appreciate this. Let me just take it off. But yeah, it's always something that I notice, and I just wanted to commend you on that.
Oh,
It's pretty.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like sometimes I'll dabble into the streetwear style.
Uh-huh.
So what kind of style would you say? Is it like I don't know. I don't want to say it's sort of streetwear school like I don't know. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I definitely like to border more on streetwear mixed with like business casual.
Yeah.
I think that's a great aesthetic, especially being in medical school. You're like dressing up,
Mhm,
understanding that like you're also, the medical school is connected to the hospital, right?
mhm.
You're gonna be like around patients and whatnot. You don't want to be wearing anything too crazy on the streetwear side.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna throw on like an outfit with like has a tie that blends it with the streetwear aesthetic,
Mhm,
I think that's fantastic. And you find a lot of your inspiration, like at least for me,
mhm.
I get most of mine from like Instagram.
Yeah.
Right, there are Instagram like fashion influencers that I follow. I look at the way that they build their whole aesthetic, their style, their wardrobe. I see there's pieces they wear. They might get like a belt or a watch or a
Mhm.
jacket that I really like. I save it. And then eventually the next time I'm going shopping, it's like, well, I'm not just looking for random things. I might have something in mind, a certain aesthetic, and then I
Yeah.
just go for that.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. Sometimes you have to have your main pieces, some things that you could wear multiple times, and you can layer and accessorize it.
Yeah.
And so, what's your go-to? Like, what's your staple?
My staple piece.
Yeah.
These days I got two staple pieces.
Uh-huh.
First is my tie.
Oh,
This
okay.
tie, I wear this tie all the time. I got this. This is like a burgundy tie. I got it when I was in high school. It was for if any of you guys watch if any of you guys know Hosa, right? You guys are familiar with like the club Hosa. In order to go to their competitions, they give you bonus points if you wear this specific color tie.
Oh wow.
So my mom got this for me when I was in high school. And ever since then, I will wear this with everything. I'll wear this to my patient interactions. I'll wear this to class. Go-to staple. The second thing is like a nice belt.
Mhm.
I've been experimenting with different styles. You got your normal professional belts. You guys might have seen like the trending like diesel belts or the faith belts. I got a couple of those. I cycle through them. I love it. I love the way that it just ties the outfit together.
Perfect. Yeah, that's pretty dope. Mine is I don't know if I have a staple, but I kind of like to dress more of like chinos.
Huh?
I'll throw in some chinos, and then I have to have like a really nice like fitted shirt. I think
Mm.
the kind of aesthetic now is the fitted top, but then loose bottoms. I think
Yes.
that's a pretty nice style nowadays. But I think it goes well, especially with a lot of things. And so
Uh-huh.
I think that's more so what I gravitate towards.
I'm a huge fan of the baggy trousers.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it really it elevates the class of the
Mhm,
look. There's nothing wrong with like your class, your normal suit, well tailored, fitted
mhm.
pants, but you go a little baggy on them,
Yeah,
it changes the game,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I noticed that on Instagram, and I think it's a really nice look, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty cool, especially when you're on social media. There are things that you gravitate towards that's not fully medical focused, and just being able to see things that are fashion related. I think that's pretty nice. So are there other like hobbies that you might be interested in?
Honestly, as a med school student,
Yeah.
between studying social media, and dabbling a little bit of fashion, your time definitely gets tied up.
Right.
Always gonna try to make time to like go try like different things to do around the
Hmm.
area, right? If there's like concerts, I love listening to like to music. Go to concerts. We go to med school in Albany, right? So going down to New York City is pretty close.
Yeah.
And you get time, right? In medical school, you get like a weekend off after an exam, or you just make the time to go 2 days and travel a little bit.
Hmm.
That's always gonna be super fun, as well as just trying like restaurants or activities that are in the area. Like you gotta make the time to try to balance between your school and having a little bit of fun and growing your perspective.
Yeah, I think that's the really kind of the most important message. Just you have to make the time. There's going to be so many things that are going to pull your attention: research, shadowing, just the daily commitments of being a medical student. But if you're not intentionally making your time, you're going to be consumed by your career.
Mm.
And I never want to find myself consumed by my career. And sometimes it feels hard to say that out loud because the expectations, like you mentioned, you're supposed to be devoted towards the career. You're supposed to be devoted towards your patients. But I think at the same time, we're all human beings who, you know, we're on this earth for a reason. And sometimes just being able to enjoy the time that you're here for is also important.
Yeah. You don't want to end up going into medicine, giving it your all, while giving up some of the most important things that you personally cared about.
Mhm.
Because what's equally as important, when you sign up to be a doctor, you take like the Hippocratic oath, right?
Right.
And part of that oath is you make a promise to yourself that you're going to keep yourself fulfilled. You're going to keep your physical health, your mental health up. It's important for your patient care as well that that you don't have regrets,
Mhm.
right? You have so much time ahead of you. I think it's when you're younger, it's almost impossible to understand how truly young you are and how much time you have.
Mhm.
And given that, for me, I'm super into social media. I love the direction things are going. I'm excited by it every day. It's the motivation that gets me up in the morning. And so because of that, I find a way to balance the two.
Mhm.
Right. I find a way to balance medical school and getting the social media and the business off the ground. And that's what keeps me going. And I personally can already tell that if I were to give everything up just to study for an extra couple hours a day, it's something that I would regret. And in the long run, those extra couple of hours would not translate to improved patient care. But
Right.
the perspective that I gained from everything else, that absolutely could.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. And also a part of it within the medical career, it's a journey essentially.
Mhm.
And I think there's always going to be ups and downs. You're going to every next transition, you're probably going to be at the bottom and you're going to have to work your way up. And then you're going to feel at the top. And then you get to a higher level and then you're going to feel at the bottom. And so I think being able to adapt to that and just knowing um, when to learn new things, when to adapt is really important. And just knowing that I think something that's really important within medicine is that when things don't go your way, essentially when you did decide to put the extra time and you didn't see the results translate, just realize that that isn't a the word that I'm looking for. You're not a failure,
Mm.
you know? I think part of medicine is being able to grow and being able to learn and adapt and realizing that there are going to be a couple of setbacks that you might face, but that doesn't determine who you are as a person. It's sort of how you're able to pick yourself up and continue to move forward as an individual.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are it almost feels like every day in medical school you get hit with a setback,
Yeah.
right? You might not do as well as you might not do as well as you wanted on a particular exam.
Hmm.
Or for example, when you're shadowing as a medical school student or even like a pre-med or a high schooler, you are the least educated person in the room,
Yeah.
right? There's like a diagram that you can find online. It's kind of like a meme where they have like a hierarchy of like the order of importance in the operator room during a procedure, and they literally rank the trash can higher than the medical school student. It's very common that they will ask you to stand behind the trash can because they care more about getting their trash in than you even like seeing the procedure.
Mhm.
And so the point being, there's a lot of crazy moments, right? Where you're there to learn,
Mhm.
right? But those doctors are also doing their job, and they're
Right.
doing they're under high pressure. They're doing a favor by letting you in on their day to day life, teaching you everything, showing you everything. And so there are absolutely times where you feel like you getting a little broed, or like things are like stressful and you feel kind of anxious, or you feel like you messed up. But
Mhm.
that's completely normal, right? It's part of the process. That like anxiety or that feeling out of place is like it's like a completely normalized emotion when you shadow enough.
Yeah.
And so at first it caught me off guard, but then over time I just became so much more grateful for even the nurses and the techs that take the time to just show you the little things, right? Why they're doing something to help the patient or that sort of thing.
Yeah. I can always appreciate like the further along I get, at the beginning, it's difficult to get into medical school, and sometimes it feels like you're competing with some of the smartest people in the world. How can you actually get in? But then once you get in, you kind of begin to appreciate the process in and of itself. It is difficult just to study every day, but I think it's pretty enjoyable. And especially the people that you meet and the colleagues that you make is really enjoyable at the same time. But speaking of colleagues, there's something that I wanted to talk about. So within medicine, there's sometimes a unspoken level of competition between people that
Mm.
meeting. And so sometimes I feel as though within medical school, do you think it's easy to differentiate friendships versus colleagues versus acquaintances?
Yeah, I mean, I want to start by talking about the competition part,
Okay.
right? I think it's actually better than you'd expect. At least
Mhm.
at Albany Med, people are genuinely friendly,
Mhm.
right? I mean, there are absolutely horror stories I have heard from
Mhm.
students who are in medical school who are fighting, stepping on each other's toes to get research opportunities, who are, really crazy stuff going behind each other's backs. Once you get into the medical field, you'll see as a medical school student how crazy some things can get in
Mhm.
especially the research world.
Right.
But as a student, I think the competition, people are moving towards a world where they're more collaborative.
Mhm.
And that's amazing for me, right? At Albany Med, we're a ranked medical school. Our academics are ranked,
Mhm.
which has implications, right? If your academics are ranked, it means you're competing against your classmates. There's only a certain number of spots honors, but
Right.
people are still they're sharing the resources, they're being helpful, they're being friendly, and that's something I cannot appreciate enough. And so when it comes to like who are your closest friends versus colleagues, I think at the end of the day, everyone is a colleague.
Right.
Right. It's really important to learn from whatever social experiences you had in undergrad and understand that now medicine is a small field. there are not that many doctors out there. And especially if you specialize in a field, it gets even smaller. You
Right.
want to be as friendly with people as possible. Don't take things seriously. Be the bigger person. These sorts of things, you have to embody them every single day. If you need to meditate for 5, 10 minutes, so that you don't crash out on someone you're working on a research project with, I think one of the best things you can do.
Right.
Because in the long run, building those connections up, that helps you so much. And eventually, out of those colleagues, you find your real friends, right?
Mhm.
You find people that you. I think the best way to approach this is people that you have hobbies outside of medicine,
Right.
right? Because if understand that, like, even though people are collaborative and they're friendly, that there is always going to be that 1% lingering in the air that, like, you might have to compete with your friend for an orthopedic surgery residency spot, right?
Right.
So rather than making your entire friendship and relationship with them based on studying together, doing research projects together, and grinding to get into like your residency, other hobbies, right? Going playing basketball with them, working out with them. You guys go catch a movie or have other shared interests. Those things and keeping those two lives a little bit more separate, I think that helps at least me in my life connect with my friends even better. And
Mhm.
especially if you have hobbies where, like, for example, my social media stuff, where that part is not competitive, right? All of my closest friends, they're the best. They just want to see me win, and that keeps me feeling so motivated when I'm in med school.
Yeah. I think that's really important, especially something that I learned in college. Like, you make these relationships based on shared experiences, and typically it's the school that you go to or studying for a difficult course, and that kind of um, is the root of the relationship. But I think it's really important to find things that are outside of school, because once school is over, what else do you have to hold on to, you know? And so I think it's really important that you find those people outside of school that you can find something enjoyable to do together and then learn about each other through those experiences. So I think, yeah, that's actually really well said. And that's something that I'm trying to also implement and build up at the same time, because the truth is that social media and stuff like this, it does take up a lot of time. So, after exams, when people are talking about going to like these outings, I don't necessarily go, because outside of studying, I do want to do this and it does take up a little bit more time. So I feel like part of it is finding people who already do what you're interested in. But if you really want to like branch out, you're gonna have to step out and do other things. But right now, I do want to build this up. So it takes a little bit more time outside of studying.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree, right? At the end of the day, I'm in the exact same boat where
Mhm.
as soon as medical school done, you finish an exam, I go back home and I get back into YouTube mode, right? I
Yeah.
start working on that side of things, and I really enjoy it. But at the same time, if I'm going to push your perspective a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I also feel that life keeps going, right? Regardless of whether or not you take the time to stop and appreciate where you're at, the days just flick by. And so for me, it's like, as much as I care about social media and med school and my business and all of that, if it's my friend's birthday,
Mhm.
I'm still gonna take the time to show up to his birthday function and get him a nice gift and make them feel special, because I understand that even though there are all these things going on, I have all these dreams. If you don't take the time to do it, it'll go by and you're gonna look back wondering where the time all went, right?
Yeah.
When you work on something that's like phenomenal and you maybe you get some crazy award or you're really passionate about something, you feel really good. But part of you feeling good is when you share those experiences with other people.
Exactly.
If
Yeah.
you're entirely alone in this entire process, you start to wonder, like, what the point of all of it was. And so I care absolutely about, you can always go overboard with going out or doing, unproductive things, right? You
Mhm.
could binge a whole Netflix show and burn your weekend. But you finding that balance, that is the number one key thing. And I think it's all equally as important, right? To spend a lot of time, working hard, but make those moments, because
Yeah.
those are the ones you'll actually remember in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely investing time in people that you care about is really important. I think that's also a sentiment that I hold and I can agree with you on, especially as I talked about earlier within medicine. It pulls you many different ways, and just being grounded in the people that you care about, who care about you, trying to invest time in that at the same time. Yeah. So yeah, that's really well said. All right. So Pratik, in school, we have this course called HCS, right?
Mhm.
Healthcare and Society, and within the course, we talk about pretty difficult topics. Where sometimes one that really stands out to me is that you're a medical student, and you're with a physician, or you're a resident, and you're with an attending, right? And the attending, they've been in that career for so long that there are things that they naturally just don't do anymore because they can just figure things out quickly, and it doesn't really go by the books of what you learned in school. And sometimes it's sort of like cutting corners. So as a medical student, the sentiment is that you won't necessarily speak out, or if you do see things that your attending is doing, you might not necessarily speak out as much as you want because as a student, they have control over your evaluations, they have control over essentially your career. And so, do you feel as someone who's building themselves up at the same time that having financial success outside of medicine will allow people to, speak up against injustices within medicine? Because sometimes medical students and residents are financially subservient to the career that they're in because they're in a bunch of debt and they don't want to mess up their, chances.
It's a super nuanced perspective, right?
Mhm.
I do agree to an extent, right? Because there is a big like power dynamic.
Right.
Now, as a medical school student, I always want to be questioning what's going on, even if it means like you get a slightly lower evaluation because they feel like you ask too many questions. The most important thing here is the long run, right?
Right.
Your understanding, the patient experience, that sort of thing. And so, if for example, if I had a preceptor who was doing something very different, I'm going to be asking questions throughout the entire process because I want to understand.
Mhm.
But at 1,000,000%, right? If you are $500,000 deep in student debt and you're a resident earning like 60K a year, you want to do the best that you can to set yourself up for your career. And
Mhm.
that means playing the game. And
Right.
so I think what the most important thing to me about this is, because I've actually thought about this, is that eventually when I do become like a physician, and I'm looking back at
Mhm.
the medical scene, right? Maybe as someone in a position of authority to change the education system, it's incredibly important to understand that students respond to the incentives that you set. That's like the golden statement here. If the incentives you set are, for example, around getting the highest board exam scores, right? Step one, step two, that's the direction students are going to go in. And what's the implications of that? Well, they might be more academically sound. If you, like they've done recently, made step one pass fail, and imagine that in 5 years they decide, hey, we're making step two pass fail, students need a way to differentiate themselves. And if that means going down the research path, that's what they're going to do.
Mhm.
And so, as of recent years, look at the research numbers. They're astounding. Anyone can go into the AAMC website right now and look. They just released the 2025 results for the data on the publication numbers for people matching in different specialties,
Mhm.
and these are like astronomical numbers. The top 10%, 90 percentile and higher in plastic surgery is applying with over 80,
Wow.
80 publications, abstracts, and presentations
That's a
by the time
lot.
they're done. It's an insane number. It makes you wonder how people are even able to get there. And if you go to some of these conferences, well, I'm not going to speak on every conference, but it might push your perspective in the sense that you see people who are very well connected with research teams, people who are presenting work that they didn't necessarily contribute to. It might have been a
Mhm.
residence project that they're now being able to present, and they're
Mhm.
taking that, they're putting it on their resume. And it's not like the people who are dealing with the whole residency applications and ARAS are not aware of this. They're also making changes along these lines that are moving in the right direction, right? They're scaling back on your ability as a medical school student to just be throwing any and everything onto your application.
Mhm.
Now, it needs to be related to, it needs to be an actual publication that came out, that sort of thing. They're moving in the right direction. But the point being, you got to understand the way students think, right? People are already so demanded, they're so stressed that they're going to do what's going to be best for their career. And
Mhm.
so, as an educator, you want to make those incentives ideally things that are going to make them a better doctor in the long run, right? That are pushing them in the right direction, teaching them the right lessons. And that way, you build the next generation of medicine in the right angle that you want to treat patients the best.
Okay. Yeah. So there always seems to be a game that medical students or people who aren't fully at the end of their career are playing just to make sure that they put themselves in the best position. And yeah, I can definitely understand and see your perspective. Sometimes I feel like regardless of what my financial status is, if I do see injustices, I'm going to speak up in a most respectful manner. I think a part of it is you can only get respect from somebody if you're able to speak up against what they're doing. But I think it has to be in a respectful manner, definitely not in front of the patients and not calling them out of their name. And I think that's something that if I say that I want to make a change within the healthcare system, I need to be able to start when I'm not in a position where I can call all the shots. Because if I'm willing to stand for something, then I'm willing to lose. Then I know I'm really standing for it, sort of.
100%. And even if you're trying to stand for something and make change, right? I think part of the nervousness in this is understanding that you're a medical school student and you don't have anywhere near the perspective that
Yeah,
some of these attendings do.
true.
So I like to do my homework,
Yeah,
right? If I see something that's crazy, I might go to a separate attending and kind of talk about the situation anonymously about what's going on, hear their perspective. Someone who's truly educated in the field. Once you get a better sense of what's going on, and you've talked to people, that puts you in a much better position. You have the evidence, the data, and you can make a strong decision.
mhm,
Even if you're trying to make change, it shouldn't be impulsive. And I also like to
right.
think that problems are not as easy to solve as you might think,
Mhm,
right? It is almost every day that you hear someone in medical school talking about like a mistake with the curriculum or something that could be changed, something could be better. The way I think about it is if it was truly that easy, right? If it was truly as easy as cutting our med school tuition down like 20K and just having a study with, third party lectures as
mhm.
opposed to our in-house things, you think administration would have done it by now, right? We have very smart people who are behind the scenes planning these things. And so I like to give them some credit too,
Yeah,
in the sense that these things aren't that easy. There are a lot of rules and regulations and things that they have to work on. And it's only when you get on the other side and you truly read about it that you can appreciate the decisions that they're making, why the things are set up the way they are.
true. Yeah, well said. Well said. Okay, so something I was thinking about was that so there was a game that I wanted to play with you, right?
Yeah.
And just to not necessarily pick your brain, but either you choose this or you choose that,
Okay.
right? Okay. So typically what people do within the careers, or sometimes within medicine, they'll choose the path that they pursue based on either lifestyle or finances, right?
Mm.
So do you have a specialty in mind?
Um, Honestly, there's a range of specialties I'm interested in.
Okay.
I like anything from IM to surgery. I got my eye on it.
Okay. So lifestyle or financial compensation?
Ooh, I think lifestyle can get you both.
Okay. That is true. But this or that, which one would you pick?
So that I pick lifestyle.
Okay. Notoriety or respect?
Ooh, that is so hard.
Yeah.
I'd go with respect.
Okay. That's a good one. You know how medical students or within social media, healthcare professionals, they watch medical dramas,
Yeah.
right? Do you feel like those are good representation for people who want to go into medicine?
I actually got the advice when I was younger that they're not a great representation.
Hmm.
And so I never watched them.
Really?
That's the way that I approached it. A lot of people, I had a lot of friends who were watching like Grey's Anatomy and whatnot, but I had like a couple mentors early on who were like, "Oh, it's not a great representation." But I will say that advice was given to me like a decade ago, and
Hmm.
since then there have been so many shows that have come out. I mean, I haven't personally watched The Pit, but
Yeah,
I've seen the reviews on it, and there are so many doctors who talk about how it's a great representation. The
really.
shows have changed over time, and so I think that if someone wants to get into medicine, absolutely, the more perspective you get, the better, right? Just balance it, understanding that it's a TV show.
Right.
They're gonna flare up the drama. It's that sort of thing. But yeah, you can get perspective from there for sure.
Did you know that they actually have medical professionals who are writers a part of
On the shows,
yeah.
that would make sense to me.
Yeah, because that's what I was told. Especially a different career if you don't want to go into the hospital, or if you want to do things outside of medicine. I think I didn't know that, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So I think that'll be like a side gig that I would do probably, because the production style of TV shows and dramas and stuff, I think it's pretty interesting.
I love how diverse the career options are becoming for physicians. It's like the idea of just becoming, your standard 9 to 5, hospital working physician is always an option.
Hmm.
But if that's not what you feel is producing the most value, or you want to pick up something on the side, you can use that medical degree to open so many doors. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've heard the quote, like the MD is a new MBA.
No, but honestly, based on what I'm doing, I think getting that medical degree can open up so many doors. But continue.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of doctors who are going down that career path as well. And just because you're so well educated on the field of medicine, I mean that's the real takeaway of going to medical school, right? Is that in depth, that quality of education. That if you want to pivot into something that's more a business or whatnot oriented, you absolutely have the skill set to do so, and you can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I think even within medicine, outside of the hard sciences that you learn, actually it teaches you how to learn, how to research things, how to figure things out. And so I think that's why so many physicians are successful in the sense that you'll hear physicians go to law school after finishing medical school, and I'm like, I mean, it's possible because it took you so much time just to figure out how to understand the human body and how to understand how to take these exams. I think you develop a level of thinking that the general public doesn't have.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel like the quality of your studying has gone up since starting med school?
Um, I think it's gone up pretty well, but I feel like there's always something missing.
Hmm.
There's always more to learn, always a better way to learn. I think right now, most of my learning has been through questions. And I think the best way to think about
Like,
things is,
explain questions.
yeah, yeah. So instead of just reading lectures or, yeah, instead of just reading lectures or watching videos, I try to frame things in a clinical vignette or clinical scenario because that's how a lot of the questions down the line are going to be presented because eventually the goal is to treat patients and patients aren't just a piece of paper. They're more than that, and just being able to understand the overall picture of the person is important. So yeah, presenting the material in a question based format, a patient this age comes in with this complaint. I think that's helped a lot. Um, but then there are also tools within medicine like Anki that I don't utilize. I know a lot of students they swear by it, but for some reason it just doesn't fit me because I know
Hmm.
I haven't been able to keep up with it. But being able to turn my lectures and turn third party resources into question banks, I think that's helped me pretty far. Yeah. How about you?
It's good. Yeah. I think it's been super transformative. I mean, the amount of volume that you're expected to take in is of course a lot, right? I'm not going to harp on that because it's talked about so much.
Hmm.
But I think that the ability to study, understanding the ways that you can study, the general discipline and the quality of focus that you bring to the table, I think for me it compounded day over day. I didn't notice at first,
Hmm.
but now I look at the amount that I'm able to take in and how long it takes and how long I was spending studying in undergrad, and I think it's like night and day.
Hmm.
You learn how to learn in medical school,
Yeah.
and that's a skill that translates to anything you want to work on.
Yeah, especially since there's a large volume of information, you have to be able to figure out what's important. I mean, everything is important depending on what question they're asking you, but figuring out what's important is like really key
Mm.
and figuring it out pretty quickly because there are going to be so many patients that we're going to have to engage with. And so I think the level of detail and being able to identify it at a fast pace is something that we're picking up at the same time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I literally looked online, right?
Mhm.
Um, this is interesting. It's pills versus candy. Which ones are pills? Let me see if we could take a look at this. Um, I don't know. Wait, let me look at the. Okay. I think I understand what's going on here. So you have these two,
Uh,
and you have to figure out which one is the pill and which one is the candy. I don't even know. I've never.
I think this is the candy and this is the pill because
Oh, okay.
this looks like it looks like Smarties to me.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
okay, so this is
aspirin.
aspirin.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Alright, that's nice, that's nice. Alright, let's try the next one. And that's the thing too, stuff like this is really important just to be able to figure out at a because sometimes, like, you know, children can pick up things like that and not even know. They might even think it's candy or
Yeah.
just having an eye, and I think there are aspects within medicine that we can just look at something and say, "Okay, this is what I think that is."
Yeah. Okay. My eye on this. Look, left looks like like hot tamales almost.
Oh, really?
Right, and then right to me, dude, this looks like your classic pill. To me, this looks like a pill of ashwagandha or something, dude.
Okay.
I think left we got the
Left is
is the
pill.
candy. Yeah,
Oh, left is candy.
left is candy. Oh,
Oh,
look
that
at
is actually
you.
good.
And
I
the
f
raise a charcoal tablet. Mm.
okay. Do some candies, take that form where they could be in tablet form? Like, they'll crush it up or just pills are naturally just
I would
presented like
say
this?
pills because I would imagine the candy they
Yeah.
make it like super hot and then they
Oh,
like
okay,
make
yeah.
it into the candy form and they cut
Yeah.
it up. But these they probably filled the dissolvable capsule
Mhm.
with the actual powder that's in medication.
Okay, let's try this one. Oh, okay. So this is
Fancy.
making me think Tic Tacs, you know?
Yeah. Are you thinking right is candy? Or you think left is
Ah,
candy?
right is candy.
Right is candy. Right
Yeah.
just looks more appetizing to me. That's what I'm going
Yeah,
off of.
yeah.
Right, I'd be eating right now if I had it in
Yeah.
front of me. Left I'd say is like oh man, this looks like uh I feel like I've seen it before. It almost looks like like an aspirin or like a Tylenol thing to
Okay.
me.
Okay.
Ibuprofen.
Ooh.
Ibuprofen. I could have got that.
Okay. Yeah.
I recognize this orange color from the. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And the right. Oh, breath mints. You got that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see this one. Oh. Okay. I don't know if you remember back in the day those Flintstone candies. I mean, the
The
Flintstone
gummies.
vitamins.
Yeah,
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 those
yeah.
things were not the gummies, but they looked this same shape. They were the worst. They tasted horrible.
Dude, I always like the multivitamin that was like the little gummy bears.
Uh huh.
You ever had those?
Yeah, yeah,
Those ones are phenomenal. You could eat those as like candy.
yeah.
Um,
That's actually pretty bad because I'll overdose on those.
yeah, no more than 2 a day.
Yeah.
Um, shoot, I'd say, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if the left was medicine, but this
Yeah.
looks like it's the Z's, man. The Z's are throwing me off.
Yeah, I don't know what brand would have these, but I'm I'm going to say this. I feel like one of them is a vitamin, but I'm thinking this is candy.
You know, I think the right is candy.
Okay, it's probably the Z that's giving it medicine. Chewable acid, cinnamon flavored mints. Wow.
Oh, it's chewable. I would have thought it's a pill, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. That's interesting. All right, let's try one
Cinnamon
more.
flavored mint. Dude, I've never enjoyed cinnamon flavored mint. I feel like it
No,
defeats the purpose of the mint.
really.
Like you're adding cinnamon to your mouth. It's like now you want to use mouthwash after the
Mhm.
cinnamon.
Yeah, it's really weird. Actually, I've heard of something where we attribute things being clean with things tasting like mint. Have you noticed
Interesting.
that? Because a lot of toothpaste they have a mint flavor, and so sometimes if you brush your teeth or use mouthwash and it doesn't feel like or taste like mint, you might want to. Sometimes it gives the idea that your mouth isn't as clean.
Yeah, okay, that actually makes perfect sense to me
Hmm.
because I went to my dentist recently
Yeah.
and they had a new line of mouthwash that they were trying.
Hmm.
And so they had a bunch of flavors, and one of the flavors they offered me was chocolate milk. And I
Mm.
go, chocolate milk mouthwash, right? That's crazy. I gotta try that. And so they give me the chocolate milk mouthwash. On paper, it's fantastic, right? It's
Right.
super good for the bacteria in your mouth. It's gonna keep you fresh. But when I swished it, it tasted like chocolate milk. And so after I spit it out, I mean, I just got my teeth cleaned,
Yeah.
and I feel like my mouth is dirty. Like I wanted to put mouthwash in my mouth after
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
So I agree. Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like we've been conditioned.
we've been conditioned.
All right, let's try this one. Okay. This is actually pretty hard. This
That
one
is
is
so hard.
I okay, I think I know. I think I know.
Okay. I think I know. I would guess. I'm gonna guess right is candy.
Oh, I was gonna guess left is candy. The reason I was thinking of left, I can't remember what candy it is, but
Uh,
it's like the chewel, like maybe like the Starburst, but then there's like this thing in the middle that
Ooh.
tastes like I don't know how to describe, it, but if you've tasted it before, you know exactly. There's like a
It's like a filling.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. I was thinking more like Airheads, and that's why I was looking at the
Oh,
right,
okay, okay, okay.
like a Laffy Taffy type of candy.
Okay. All right, let's see. Let's see.
Oh, it's
Oh
gum.
wow. What? Gum
Chewable.
like that?
I've never heard of
Yeah. No, never heard of it.
that.
That is interesting. I'm going to screenshot these to put this in the video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, that was pretty actually nice. I think that's a cool game to play.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah. So you brought up doing like YouTube to people in school and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's come up.
Yeah.
I'd say that when I first started medical school, I'll be honest, I didn't tell many people I did YouTube.
Hmm.
But people naturally found it,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's through the algorithm or whatnot, or like, you post your first TikTok, it ends up sharing to like your local contacts.
Yeah.
And so people found it at some point.
Uh-huh.
But it's not something that I like publicly like talk about all the time. I
Yeah.
think that it's nicer when people find your content organically
Mhm.
and they see it, they watch it, they enjoy it.
Mhm.
I think that's the more important part to me, is coming up, making something cool, and letting people kind of discover it on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like to see how that goes. I did put out a couple of videos at Albany Med and Dr. Wagner, she's like the way that she talks about content creation, because she's a creative at the same time. And I think it's really nice and enjoyable. And it really does make me want to go back into it. And I like I told you, I need to kind of figure out how I want to be able to present myself. Because I don't want to do the usual like study with me stuff.
Mm.
There is an audience for that, but that's not Like if I'm gonna sit down and edit a video, I don't want to watch myself
Yeah,
doing
you
that.
got to be passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think spending a little bit more time figuring out how I'm going to do it and creating a system that makes things a lot easier. And so what I've recently been watching is reality TV shows, right?
Mm.
And those aren't the most mentally stimulating, but the way that they document it, I think it's something that I can take pieces of and implement that into videos.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of scaling is also finding a good team around you,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I personally, I have editors for my YouTube channel. I have a guy that's been making my thumbnails recently. He's been killing it.
Hmm.
Um, Getting people to offload that sort of work, if you
Right.
want like someone to even manage your YouTube channel, I run everything as of now, but it's not something that's off the table. It
Hmm.
just gives you more time to work on the actual content, the parts that
Right.
only you can do.
Right.
And that's also the part that you probably enjoy the most,
Yeah.
right? Is the making the video, sitting on the podcast set and look at, dude, I'm looking around at Lawrence's set. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The cameras, the lighting. I mean, I record my YouTube videos on a phone. If you go back to my old YouTube videos, I didn't even have a tripod. I'd like prop my phone up against like a box of protein powder
Hmm.
and then record my videos. So to see this and the level of work that you're putting in, how incredible all of this looks, it is so impressive to me.
I appreciate it. People will always start from somewhere and then they'll scale it up. You'll have a freaking entire team in a warehouse that you're working with. So yeah, starting from a phone, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are a couple future projects that I'm definitely really interested in.
Yeah.
And
You
so
got a big next project you want to tease?
I don't know if I have a big next project. I was actually going to ask you that, but I think something just definitely getting into YouTube. And so producing more pieces of content for podcasting, but then the creative aspects of YouTube. So I'm gonna actually start bringing my camera more on campus because I think I have a really strong foundation with the medical school. So the creative side, I can bring that along a lot more and be comfortable in that sense. So if you see me on campus with my camera, you want to say what's up,
Mm.
I'm definitely open.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Anything new on the horizon?
Got some things I'm working on,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely want to be on the content side,
Hmm.
doing more collaborations with people,
Right.
getting myself more out there. And on more of like a personal front, I've been working on a business project. It's called Atlas Education.
Hmm.
It's for personalized admission strategy. You guys can check it out in the description if you're interested. Absolutely, I'd go give it a look. It's something I've been personally working on. I'm super involved in the actual strategy of this company, building it up. I'm involved in every step of the way, and I think some of you will find it very helpful.
Yeah, perfect, Pratik. I definitely appreciate you coming here. It was lovely having this conversation with you. And I really appreciate people who are on the creative side, analytically, and just like doing things with video production. And you've definitely paved the way for yourself. And
Thank you.
I know it could only get a lot larger from here, especially with more information that you learn and the more people that you surround yourself with. So you have a really bright future ahead of you in pretty much anything that you do.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot to come, a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
The thing that keeps me going is when I think about what's upcoming, I get excited.
Yeah.
It hypes me up, and that's how I know that things are moving in the right direction. And so, if any of you guys are feeling like a little bit down or lost at times, right? Think about the direction things are going, bigger picture, right? It's not about the test that you scored a little bit lower on today. It's about what's next, what's coming up, and that keeps me motivated day to day to keep the engine going.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of
Thank you
Casual
so much.
Conversations with Lawrence. Pratik, we're gonna check out your channel for sure. And then, more success, and hopefully, I mean, definitely your business is gonna go well. Uh, you might build a little envy from other students who aren't able to accomplish as much as you are.
Hit
But
me up, man. If
yeah.
anyone wants help getting this going, dude, I am all ears. I want to
Yeah.
see everyone getting into this. It's so fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lawrence.
All right. And